Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we discuss Horus Lupercal facing Angron at the Dropsite Massacre. A spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from the Horus Heresy novel Dropsite Massacre by author John French. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, without spoilers, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. But with that out the way, let's waste no time and just jump straight in. Okay, so over the past few weeks, the novel that's really been taking my attention has been the arrival of the Horus Heresy novel Dropsite Massacre. The story that took us all the way back to the start of the heresy, the moment Horus's betrayal was announced to the galaxy, and a rebellion turned into a full-blown war for survival. It was without a shadow of a doubt Horus's masterstroke, overturning the Imperium's advantage in a single battle, not only unveiling 4 further legions as allied to him, but also virtually eradicating 3 loyal legions as well. Not to mention eliminating Ferrus Manus from the board. It's no exaggeration to say the Dropsite Massacre was a turning point for the galaxy. And you may think, knowing all of this, Dropsite Massacre would simply be treading old ground. However, you couldn't be more wrong, as it added a wealth of development and depth to the Dropsite Massacre we know. And honestly, if you haven't read this one yet, I really recommend you go read it before continuing here, as this novel was an absolutely brilliant read. It really was, with several moments that gave me goosebumps. It was the best novel I've read in a long while, easily since the Siege of Terror itself. And perhaps the most surprising revelation it gave me was that it all very nearly failed before it began. And even more astonishingly, thanks to Angron of all people. Angron's loyalty to the Emperor was always dubious at best. Plucked from Nuceria on the eve of his final confrontation against the enslavers who had ruined his life. Thrust into the Great Crusade at the head of the World-Eaters Legion, where the compliance they enacted upon humanity was far more one of bloodshed than unity. And so it was a given Angron would side with Horus upon his rebellion. Yet in witnessing the traitor's view in the build-up to the Dropsite Massacre, it shows us that, intriguingly, Angron was not happy with the idea of betraying and ambushing his unknowing loyal brothers. That he despised the notion of the Iron Hands, Salamanders and Raven Guard being shot in the back by their secretly traitor reinforcements. The Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Alpha Legion and Wordbearers. Now, Angron's anger at this isn't out of care or warmth for Ferrus, Corax or Vulcan. Or at least he doesn't say that. But what it is about is honour. Warriors' honour. Angron feels that they don't deserve to die with wounds in their back. That they should know the battle that they are going to be fighting. That they deserve to. And the argument becomes pretty intense, with Mortarians stopping Angron from attacking Fulgrim. And it's then that Horus himself intervenes, telling Angron that yes, their brothers should know, that they deserve better, but that all the Primarchs deserve better than the lies the Emperor has told them, and that it's the Emperor's fault that they will not get a chance, because he hasn't given them one, because of the lies that they cannot disbelieve. However, it's clear Angron is not convinced by his brother's words, and the traitors begin to put actions into place to stop Angron from somehow ruining their plans, attempting to get Khan on side to try and get him to convince his Primarch. and they block the World Eaters from doing trans-atmospheric Vox communication, secretly taking their astropaths as well. However, of course, Angron finds out, and returns to confront Horus once more, bursting into the Warmaster's command chamber. "You think to silence me," shouts Angron. Malagurst is already moving forward, looking for Khan. The Justirian elite and Mournival are at Horus's side. Only the Warmaster has not moved. He watches Angron as the Red Angel advances. "You silence me. The machine priests have slaved the transatmospheric Vox systems." His gaze locks on Malagurst. "Your crooked shadow has taken our Legion astropaths." "They are needed," says Malagurst. Angron is a blade length from Malagurst before the movement registers. "Another word and it will be your last, Broken One. Your pet abominations might need feeding with witches, but let us not pretend that it does not serve another purpose." "I cannot allow you to break the plans we have made, Angron," says Horus, voice calm enough to form ice from air. "You dare put a chain around my throat? There can be no warning, no signal. I have said this. I have explained this. Actions are all that matters. The shout is sudden, an axe blow to any sense of calm. Honour needs no explanation. I need no greater right or truth. Spoken like a tyrant son of a king. It is Mortarion, air sucking between words, voice a rasp. The Death Lord takes a step from the shadows so that the three Primarchs are a triangle, with Angron at the narrowest point. "You are a selfish child, Angron. You do not agree, and so you would break what we make. You would make all of us pay the price for your sense of what is right. You would kill us and our warriors, not for their ideals, but yours, just like our father." For a second, Malagurst thinks that Angron will lunge at his brother, as he did Fulgrim, but the Red Angel does not move. He just stares, transfixed, like a beast struck between its eyes. The Death Lord turns his back, bows his head to Horus, and stalks out of sight. Horus looks at Angron. Malagurst can tell that the Warmaster is waiting, choosing, considering what to say, if anything can be said. Angron's face twitches, then he too turns and is gone. Now, in a sense here, Mortarion is absolutely right. Angron would be condemning their plans entirely because of his own ideals. What he feels is right, not what everyone else does. And yes, perhaps that can be described as the same as the Emperor. Although, to be fair, I think you can apply that logic to either side. Because Horus isn't here truly fighting for a better galaxy. He's fighting because he wants to rule it himself, to replace his father. The others are just bitter enough to side with him. And honestly, aren't Horus's actions here exactly the same type of thing they are decrying about their father? Horus taking Angron's voice, so to speak, stopping him from being able to do what he wants, what he feels is the right course of action. Essentially taking away Angron's choice, which is exactly what the Emperor did. And so you can see how easily those morals and values change, depending on points of view. How two-faced it is for Horus to declare his father a tyrant, when here, all the way back at Istvan, he is already acting in exactly the same manner. And why didn't Angron lunge at Mortarion there? Is it because his words comparing Angron with the Emperor made Angron think? Or was Mortarion a different prospect altogether than Fulgrim, at least in Angron's eyes? However, Angron storms out of the room, heading directly to the communication hub. You would imagine to send a message to his arriving loyalist brothers, slaughtering his way through Emperor's children as he does so. Probably an added bonus in Angron's mind. And Khan chases Angron along the way, trying and failing to get his Primarch to listen. However, there then comes a voice that stops Angron in his tracks. Yet he has raised a blade, comes a voice. It is calm, yet has the force of a storm wind. And if there is a chain holding you, it is mine. Angron straightens and turns. The blast doors at the end of the passage have opened. Horus Lupercal walks forward. He is armoured. A red cloak hangs from his back, and a wolf pelt covers his shoulders. Worldbreaker is in his hands. He rests the mace's head on the floor as he halts. He looks at Angron, face calm, eyes hard. "This cannot happen, brother," he says. "There can be no warning shouted to Ferrus and his allies. It will not happen." The two Primarchs hold each other's gaze. "This is wrong," growls Angron. His fingers flex on the grips of his chain axes. "I have listened, Angron," says Horus. "I have explained, but words mean nothing in the end. Actions are everything." Khan feels a knot of cold in his gut, and he thinks he might see a flicker of surprise on Angron's face. Horus says, "Angron, no more words, brother." Horus lifts Worldbreaker, then strikes its head down on the floor once. The sound is a thunderclap in the strobing dark. Angron draws a breath. Then the world is a blur of movement. And oh man, this moment had me on absolute tenterhooks here. Wondering what on earth am I seeing? That I'm literally seeing Horus Lupercal going up against Angron. Just the way that Horus goes about it. "No more words, brother." And lifting up Worldbreaker. Man, what a moment. Horus just knowing words are pointless now. That they've tried. And Angron won't listen. He can't listen. That there's only one way to get through to him. And this is Horus doing just that. Showcasing why it was him that had to be Warmaster. Why he was the only one who could be. Because let's be honest here, Sanguinius wouldn't fight Angron here. Rabute wouldn't fight him. El Johnson wouldn't have had the words to appeal to him before. Neither would Ferrus. But there had to be that rational appeal first. The words. You couldn't just have the fists. Or it's then a fight without meaning. And that's what makes Horus who he is. And sure, this is Horus Lupercal corrupted. Post-Davin. Already fallen. But let's not make the mistake of thinking this is the Horus completely and fully under the sway of chaos. Because this is long before he enters the warp at Malek, receives the Pantheon's full embrace. He has just fallen to their lies and whispers at this point. He is still more the Warmaster of old than the full-on chaos monster he would become. And this is the Warmaster in all his glory. No sweating, no backward step, no more words. He knows this is the only way to get Angron to listen, to get him into line. And he knows he can do it. Complete and utter confidence. And that is Horus Lupercal. You know, Primarch top 5s and all those things are always hard to do, and I don't think I'd ever have Horus in my personal top 5 favourites. But when we get to see this Lupercal, man, I've got to admit I really like him. You get to feel what made him that first amongst equals, the brightest star. And maybe it's just me, but did Angron seem a little hesitant to fight him there? Wanting maybe to speak more rather than fight? I dunno. Maybe not, but I did kind of get that feeling. That it was Horus here who knew it had to come to blows. That wanted it to. That it could be only settled in this way. And well, he certainly got his wish. Chain teeth shrieking, blows shivering sparks from weapons and armour, fast beyond fury, fury beyond fury. Horus coming forwards, always forwards, striking again and again. And Angron striking back, from every angle, axe heads hooking Horus's mace, pulling it down, searching for an opening. It is not a fight, that's too small a word. It is a war. All of the force of armies, all the dead worlds and ended dreams, all there, in the ring of weapon on weapon. Horus's mace swings down. Angron brings both his axes up. The spinning chains catch the haft of Worldbreaker. The mica teeth bite the adamantine haft. Horus steps back. Angron is snarling, eyes wide. He lashes a kick out. His foot hits Horus in the chest. The red eye on the Warmaster's breastplate shatters. Chunks of red crystal fall. Angron roars and swings. Horus catches the blow with the mace's haft, turns it, and rams the head into Angron. Armour cracks. Angron catches his balance, axes raised. Horus holds still. The Warmaster's jaw is set. Eyes holes into night. Why is there never a choice, roars Angron. We are not given choices, Angron. And now Horus is roaring. Anger lighting his eyes. We win them. We make them ours. By blood and blade. So take yours now. And Angron bellows. It is a sound of pain as much as rage. He cuts. Khan feels his Primarchs' blows as much as he sees them. He knows them. They are the death blows of the axe fighters on Nuceria. The cuts made by a warrior who will die and take his opponent with him. Right axe from left to right, backhanded into torso, a blow to stagger, to bite. And then the second blow, the left axe backhanded into the head as the opponent's counterblows come, and two warriors fall. Their ropes cut, honour and blood mingling on the sand. The world will be red, all will end now, crimson and bloody. And Khan can feel the numbness of his fingers become white-hot pain, and the shriek of the nails is burning away the grey fog in his skull. Angron's axe blows do not land. Horus has let go of Worldbreaker. The great mace falls. Horus catches the haft of Angron's first axe. Then the claws of his other hand slash down. Khan had not seen the blades unfold. They slice through the chain, binding the axe to Angron's wrist, as Horus twists the weapon free from his brother's grip and slices it back at Angron. Its chain blade meets that of the second axe. Mica teeth jam into each other. Chain drives shriek. Worldbreaker hits the floor. A stalemate, but not really. A demonstration that Horus could have ended the fight already. Could have ended it with a deathstroke, but instead has chosen to take Angron's own blade. Horus leans in towards Angron, looking through the locked weapon. What is your choice, brother? And oh man, what a fight this was. It's brief, over in just a few moments, but oh boy did it deliver. Seeing the Warmaster in action, displaying what made him so great. And against Angron to boot. We've debated whether Angron deserves his reputation as a top-tier fighter, but I don't think there's any doubt whether you think he is or not, that he is a force to be reckoned with. A fearsome opponent who could easily overwhelm and outpower any Primarch if fortune favoured him. And yet it's made clear here that Horus had this in the bag the entire time. That he could have ended Angron right here and now, if he wanted to. A stalemate, but not really. A demonstration that Horus could have ended the fight already. Could have ended it with a deathstroke, but instead has chosen to take Angron's own blade. It's a demonstration for us the reader for what makes Horus great. But more importantly, it's a demonstration to Angron himself. That Horus doesn't want to kill him. He just wants him to listen. Wants him to understand. And this, combined with the words he has already spoken, is how he will get him to. Because Angron yells that he won't submit, that Horus should end him here. But of course the Warmaster refuses, dropping the axe to the floor, reaffirming to Angron that they had no choice here, that they couldn't fight this war how they wanted to, because it was a choice the Emperor took away from them, that they were made not to kill for themselves, or even live for themselves, but for him, and that is the chain that binds them all, and that slaying their father is the only way Angron will ever gain his freedom. And though I might largely disagree with Horus's overall view, you can see the logic in his arguments. You can see how the Primarchs indeed were enchained to their purpose, their creation, and that indeed slaying the Emperor may be seen as Angron gaining his freedom, though it would see him enslaved to his new master Chaos after. However, the combination of the argument and the duel break through to him, get him to understand that this has to be done, that they don't have to like it, that Horus himself doesn't like it, but that they don't really have any other option, that the war has to be taken to the Emperor, and that this is the only way it can. And for me, this whole narrative between Angron and Horus is the perfect showcase for what makes the Dropsite Massacre novel so great, because it unveils unseen stories from this prominent and well-known event. It builds and develops the story as we know it, and fleshes out the relationships and the backdrop to it. Never in a million years did I expect to see Horus Lupercal fighting Angron here. But I did, and it worked, and it actually made me value the traitor side of the battle all the more, made me understand the build to the battle from their side, and how it wasn't as straightforward as I've always believed it to be, and it made me appreciate it more too. Here, we saw how even a Primarch is scarred and shaped by their past, with Angron fundamentally unable to get past his departure from Nuceria, the Emperor tearing him away from the only family and life he had ever known, leaving him with the knowledge of their death. And we saw how Horus, perhaps of all the Primarchs, was alone able to be the first amongst equals, who could reach any of his brothers, even Angron. And so as always everyone, what do you think? What do you think of Horus facing down Angron here? Was it the only way the Warmaster was going to get him to listen? Or do you think maybe Horus went too far? Did Angron even seem slightly hesitant to you to engage the Warmaster? And what do you think of them silencing the World Eater's communications? Was that a necessary step to take, with so much on the line? Or was that crossing the line? Was that Horus becoming his father? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.